Okay, so I gotta let you guys know some things off the top, and then we'll get into the episode, so just brace yourself for that. But hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another one of our weekly Dr. Stone Season 2 discussion videos. Today we're here to talk all about Episode 7, Secret Mission. But before we get into the video proper, quick reminder if you haven't done so yet, to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, and let all of AniTube know that you're here. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this thing. So, you might notice there hasn't been any editing in the audio yet. If you notice that, good for you, because I don't think everybody does. But, so something happened to me, and again, I'm gonna have to talk about this very quickly off the top. I don't know what happened necessarily, if it's tendinitis, or if it's carpal tunnel, or something, but my right arm is basically completely out of commission. And so because of that, I'm trying to limit the amount of time I'm near my computer desk and just trying to focus on letting my arm heal, which means I've been working on videos one-handed. And even when doing that, I cheat and use my right arm. So I'm just going to try to limit the amount of editing that I have to do, which means for the next few videos, I hope not too long. I have a doctor's appointment soon. We're going to figure out what's going on, but hopefully not too long. I can just sort of not worry about my arm being in pain, rather, and we can just have regular videos again. But for the next little bit, we'll be going through what I will be calling the Injured Boy arc, where I become an injured boy, and the videos are slightly more scuffed than usual. So my apologies in advance for that. That said, I just made a cut there, and I'm trying not to do that. So if you hear me like pausing to take a drink of water or whatever, just that's my bad. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and jump into the episode now. Sorry. So Gen's impersonation is where we can start. This whole episode essentially serves as sort of like an episode focused on Ukyo, but also not quite. We do get to see a lot of the other characters. It's a lot of sort of building the up to the final battle at the Miracle Cave, which is essentially where the Stone Wars are likely to end. I don't know if, like, we're going into episode 8. I don't know how many episodes it's gonna have, probably like 13. So I imagine after next week's episode, there'll only be 5 left. I don't know if we're necessarily going to end at the Miracle Cave, but this will certainly be like the beginning of the end. Right, so the Stone Wars are reaching a conclusion, which is kind of crazy to me because it feels like it really just started, because it's just been so entertaining. And Ukyo is definitely one of the characters who I've come to find the most enjoyable. His whole aura is just different. There's something about the character that sort of hits different to characters like Gen, who, while, yeah, they're sort of dubious in where their allegiances are, right? Gen, you still have this like playful sense to Gen, whereas Ukyo is definitely calmer, but he is backstabbing, right? He is trying to betray Tsukasa, but that's only because he sees Tsukasa as something not good. Watching Tsukasa kill the statues, even though he tried to make the argument like they're inanimate objects, they're not even really people right now, he even calls that a flimsy argument. And I have to agree. The idea that the statues aren't real is false, right? Like, the statues are human beings at the end of the day, and Tsukasa is breaking them, which means he is killing them. So Tsukasa, whether he would admit it or not, is, in fact, I'm pretty sure he has admitted it in the past. That's like, yeah, that is what I'm doing. He is killing people, right? So he's killing people, he's doing something wrong, we gotta stop him. And Ukyo is the type of dude who's willing to step up to the bat, right? So when he hears Gen's impression, which, by the way, is pretty darn good. I have to give Gen the nod. I think, like, our girl definitely taught him well about how to hone that impression. He really does the whole Lillian Weinberg impression really well. But unfortunately, obviously, Ukyo's ears are fine-tuned enough to notice the inflection, the fact that Lillian's able to speak perfectly fine after belting her heart out, which she definitely wouldn't. There'd be a reverberation in her voice. And he catches that. And Ukyo speaks pretty fluent English, too. So, obviously, they weren't expecting that. So Gen sort of has to, like, think on his toes, but ultimately Ukyo then just sort of presses them and says that he not only knows what they're doing, like, he knows that it's Gen. He straight up calls it Gen, right? He says Gen, right? He's like, I know that's you, Gen. Come on now. So he calls him Asagiri Gen. He calls him out. And he also reveals that he knows Yuzuriha's big secret mission. And if you remember, way back. I'm talking like way back. Like episode 4 or 5 of season 1, like ages ago. Yuzuriha was given a secret mission. But what is this secret mission? Well, this secret mission, my friends, is essentially to bring back the people who have died, right? Like she's given this task by Senkuu to essentially glue everybody back together. So we see that Yuzuriha had this cave that she had been sort of hanging out in. And my girl Yuzuriha being top tier, as always, right? Like, sweetest of the characters, I'd say, is Yuzuriha. And there's some stiff competition, right? Like, Suika, Ruri, they're all super sweet too, but I think Yuzuriha is just, like, the absolute kindest. She has such a good soul, right? Like, she's such a kind heart. So she makes it a point to sew together their clothing, right? But she does it like lightning speed. And Ukyo's like, we thought she did that overnight. So if she's doing that, if she's making these clothes that quickly, what the hell is she spending her nights doing? And he follows her and he sees her piecing together the broken statues. So Ukyo's like, oh my god, she's trying to heal them. And then once he figures out that Senkuu is the one behind all of this, he's like, oh my god, they're gonna try to bring them back. So this sort of intrigues him, and this is when he approaches Senkuu, and Gen, and says like, I know what you're up to, and I'm not on your side. And Senku's like, I know, you kidnapped my boy. But like, he says, I'm not on your side, but I'm willing to play ball, right? On one condition. That condition being that nobody can die. And when I heard that, I'm like, sweet, we were gonna do that anyway. But this adds layers to Ukyo in a lot of ways, because Ukyo is, as a character, again, like I said when I looked at the design, that like the white hair might be a sense of maturity, and I really think it is. Like the white hair design, white hair in a character design usually indicates like a level of either maturity or purity, and in Ukyo's it's honestly a bit of both, but I would argue it leans more towards him being a bit more of a mature spirit, right? He's like a mature character, he's a bit more in tune with what he's feeling. And that paired in with the yellow of like the whole, you know, be cautious of this one's a bit tricky, it all fits in. And I think Ukyo's design might be the best of Tsukasa's group, like, and there's a lot of competition for that, but I think Ukyo's design is just super top tier. And to see him sort of like get emotional at the idea of saving everyone, especially after watching Tsukasa spend all that time breaking people, literally murdering people in front of him, it sort of reawakens that noble heart of his, and he's ready to sort of help Senkuu as long as he promises that nobody's gonna die, which I do feel like is going to get called into question at some point, because A, they're still tricking people. Like, don't forget that all these people think Lillian Weinberg and America are really coming to save Japan, which they're not. They're just as dead as everybody else. And that's probably going to cause some issues at some point, so Ukyo is going to have to compete with that. And then on top of that, there's the whole Tsukasa thing. And on top of that, because you know Tsukasa's not going to like let everybody walk away. He's going to try to fight, and he's going to... Him and... I forget his name now. Tsukasa and his right-hand man, the guy with the mask. I can't think of his name, and I feel bad. He's a good baddie. The name's escaping me. This is what you get when you don't get edited me, and I'm just like, what's his name? Mind you, I still do that sometimes when I'm editing videos too, so whatever. But I can't recall this dude's name. It'll come to me like after I'm finished recording. But the second in command, him and Tsukasa are definitely sort of, you know, they're going to put up more of a fight, and they're going to be willing to murder if they have to. And, you know, Ukyo doesn't want anybody to die. Neither does Senkuu and any of them either, but still, that's a problem. The biggest problem, though, and this is where we can start talking about this moment, is Yo. So Yo, if you recall, the last time we saw him, Chrome kicked him square in the family jewels, took that dude out, right, like, with a swift kick in the nuts. And Yo goes down for the count. Problem. Yo then realizes that he's screwed because he let Chrome go. Although he probably could have just told Tsukasa what happened, and Tsukasa probably wouldn't have been that pissed. But Yo, you know, was panicked, and I don't blame him because Tsukasa's scary. But Yo is freaked out, so he's like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Give him my weird, goofy eye patch thing. So he takes off that piece of stone that he had on him. He's like, here, give this to Tsukasa. Tell him that I went over the edge of the waterfall trying to get Chrome. So I'm dead, right? So he just tell him I'm dead. I'm getting the high hell out of here. I'm concerned on two fronts. One, that's going to piss Tsukasa off because Tsukasa already thinks that Senku's crew gassed some of his men. And then on top of that, he also lost Yo trying to get Chrome. So that's a whole other can of worms. My thing is, Ukyo won't know that. And Ukyo might not only blame Senkuu in the gang, but blame himself. And he might be upset thinking that Yoma's actually dead when he's really not. And think that you lied to me. You said nobody was going to die here. And look, this dude just died. So Yo's fake death, which did make me laugh, I'll admit. Like, I did laugh when he's like, I'm out of here later. Like, and he just bolts. It's like, no, you dumbass, because that's going to cause so many problems. But yeah, Yo fakes his death. And that's either going to make Ukyo question the partnership, or it's going to fuel Tsukasa and Hyoga? Hyoga. It's Hyoga, isn't it? I think I just like remembered it halfway through that sentence. Hell yeah, it's like Hyoga or something like that. Gonna make the second in command and Tsukasa like more furious. But even then, Hyoga is interesting, right? Because when Tsukasa, again, like Tsukasa's such a good villain, but when Tsukasa's like listing through all the names of the people who have been lost along the way, right? He lists off a few names that Hyoga, and I could be pronouncing his name incorrectly, or I could just be like way off, but I think his name's Hyoga. Says like, who is that? You listed a few people, I don't even know who that is. And he's like, those are the men we lost when Senkuu gassed us. What are you talking about? Right? So like you could tell Tsukasa's like, I remember everybody's name. And that's the thing that I really want to zero in on. Like what Tsukasa's doing is wrong, but what makes him a compelling villain is that he doesn't see himself as the bad guy. And there's elements to Tsukasa where you do sympathize. That scene of him being like, just saying all the names of the people who have died in their camp, which is kind of crazy to me, right? Because it's like, it's been what, like a year and change, right? And you've already lost like 8 or 9 people? That's crazy, bro. But like, so he lists the names of all these people off. And he remembers all of them. And that shocks Hyoga, who's like, I don't remember any of their names. But Tsukasa does remember. And to me, that's also a big red flag for Hyoga, because I'm like, oh, he don't care. Right? So I'm like, is he actually loyal to Tsukasa? I kind of doubt it, because the way that he responded to that, if you don't remember the names of the people you're charging into battle with, you seem kind of snake-like to me. So I'm like, I don't trust this dude. And even Ukyo's like, listen, it's not even really Tsukasa I'm worried about. It's Hyoga. And when he's talking about Hyoga, the scene is showing the Tsukasa kingdom, but it starts to flip. Now, again, you guys know me. I like my symbolism. So, what does that mean? That means that Hyoga would turn that world upside down if he could, right? Like, Hyoga would turn it all upside down. What would turning the Tsukasa Empire upside down look like? My boy's gonna break bad at some point. My boy's gonna turn coat. And he's not even my boy, so I shouldn't even say it like that. But that's what I'm interpreting. Is that he's gonna try to they're gonna try to turn the Tsukasa Empire upside down, or it could mean that Senku is going to turn the Tsukasa Empire upside down. But the fact that they're talking about Hyoga specifically in that moment kind of implies to me that it might be Hyoga. So I'd keep an eye on him. But Tsukasa as a villain, like you get it, you know, he's compelling. You sort of like want to understand him, and you almost sympathize with him. Almost, right? There's so many times where I'm like, I love Tsukasa. I think he's really interesting, but I could never be with him like that, right? Like I couldn't join the Tsukasa Empire because A, the Kingdom of Science is where it's at, and B, even if you had science there, which they do have, right? They have science, it's just they limit it, right? But he's like, even if you had all the sciences, right? Even if you had friggin' video games and a TV, I still wouldn't join him because of the things he is doing and the way his thinking and the way that his thinking is going, it's all wrong. So you know what I mean? You can sympathize, but up to a point, at least for me personally. But yeah, like this whole episode definitely is a great lead up to the proper final battle, right? Like we have more of an idea of what Yuzuriha was up to. We finally get to know what's up with Ukyo, and we get that big moment of Tsukasa realizing, oh shit, they've been communicating this whole time, right? Like when he goes to bury Yo's eye patch, like that's when he notices like, oh crap, they've been talking this whole time. And we get the big build up leading up to the final attack, and it's gonna be super sick. I cannot wait. But yeah, that's basically all of my thoughts. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to boop that up snoot, share if you care, leave a comment down below, and of course, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, and let all of AniTube know that you're here. And before we go, as always, I want to give a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. Look at these beautiful people. Look at all of these beautiful names, and hey, if you would like to join these beautiful people, there are 2 ways to do so. The first is by hitting that join button right beside the sub button. That gets you a badge next to your name, some emotes to spam in the comments, and of course, your name scrolling past the screen here. Or you can check out that Patreon link in the description. Either way, it is super appreciated. And so once again, a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron, and this is the first of the Injured Boy arc. I hope that this just goes away. Everything that I looked up online said that my arm should probably heal on its own. There's not a whole lot even my doc could probably do. We'll see. I have an appointment soon. I don't know. I hope that this video wasn't awful, right? I'm still gonna make the screenshots move and all that, but yeah, hopefully it wasn't too bad. But yeah, that's it for me. So anyway, bye!